your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just some high-flying wren, fast vertical stems, and professors from Penn watching eagles eat and pray like bazookies on birthdays. It's Philadelphia, Marissa, Bo, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet. Keys, he's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Marissa, Bo, and Zach are here to squawk. Don't miss the mistress talk on some
Zach, for the 4th time in franchise history, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl.
Eagles Chiefs are ripe with storylines. 2 best teams in the
Prince
NFL
Tega
playing.
Winogo revenge game.
There's so many factors in place for Bo to make the media enemy. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of Superb Owl Week on Birds with Friends. Bo, Wulf, Zach Berman, and on a week in which the storylines are very much about amicable exes coming up against each other. Andy Reid going up against the Eagles. We have to start the show today by bringing on another amicable ex, another divorced couple on good terms.
Great.
Zach Berman and Jeff McLane of the Inquirer. Jeff, making your Birds with Friends debut. How are you?
Thanks for having me, guys. I've been waiting for this moment for so long.
You've been bugging us. Hey, when am I going to get on?
I know. Ever since Zach left me, it's been my dream to destroy your podcast.
How would you say that your life has changed in a post-Zach world?
All right, I don't want to hurt any feelings here. Certainly not Zach's. Zach and I made a good team.
Yeah.
Yes.
As you both do as well. Yeah, I mean, like we were kind of a couple for a long time.
7 years.
Yeah, and almost like a married couple, as our wives would
Yep.
know how much, I'm sure you guys, when you have a beat partner, you spend a lot of time
Sure.
with them and talking to them and texting with them. So that was definitely an adjustment. I haven't found that quite yet.
Okay. Well, you've got more wives to juggle, more work wives to juggle now than you did then.
Well, we had that a little bit of that.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I'll sing his praises for a moment. And I mean this because our audience presumably is full of Eagles fans, right? Who know Jeff's work. It's been 13 years on the beat, 13 or 14. 14 years. Yeah. Like there is a reason why he breaks so many stories and writes so many good stories, right? Like I saw it firsthand for 7 years. It's not by accident.
Go ahead, tell the Emily story. Tell what happens when you wake up in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, I mean I will literally be up at 4 a.m. It's actually their stories come out exactly at 5, right? So it's typically if it's like 5:15 and she sees me on my phone and she'll say, "What did Jeff write?" Right? Because like that's the type of thing that I'm doing. And Jeff can tell you, I'll text him at like 5:30. Great story.
Yeah, wake up my wife.
Yeah.
But here, that says more about Zach than I think it does my work. Come on, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
I think that's probably true. But yeah, I mean, it's deserved plaudits for Jeff.
No, I mean, obviously Zach does phenomenal work, and I have the same feelings. I think we all do when you see someone has a story and you're like, a little.
I think we can say that the one story this season that made everybody on the beat feel that way. Yeah. And I know Zach's gonna feel
my Josh Jobe story.
Your Josh Jobe story. Yeah. The Dom story. Everybody's wanted to do the Dom story. You made it happen. It was great reporting. Good job.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that was that was a what's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking for?
Decade in the making.
It was a long time in the making. Yeah. I don't know if I can reveal a lot of how it came to be, but because I didn't talk. Dom's not on record in the story, so that's always a tough story to write, as you guys know, when you don't have the subject as.
I don't know if Zach was jealous of the story as much as he was jealous that you talked to Chip.
That's honestly, I'm pretty sure about that.
No, I'm jealous of the story, but it'd be nice to catch up with Chip. Chip's a smart man. I enjoy talking to smart people.
It was remarkable. It was. I still have a little leftover stuff I'm going to use this week, actually.
Oh, now I'm going to be.
You just use that to needle him, yeah.
It's 3 a.m. here, by the way, when their stories come out. So
it's nothing great. But, that in its own right was interesting because, I'm under no illusions that Chip Kelly didn't talk to me because it was me.
Right.
It was because he loved Dom and he wanted to talk about Dom. Chip and I weren't on the best of terms by the end of the tenure. His tenure, as you guys can, I don't think, and many of us were on great terms with Chip by the end. But
I wasn't even here at the end. But
you weren't on that. You weren't on the beat then.
No.
Chip drove him off the.
Chip drove me. He got me out of the building. Yeah.
So you didn't go to the equipment room with Howie?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. But like it was like he talked to me like we were long lost buddies.
Nice.
It was shocking. It was shocking. Asking me how I was doing and what's up and newspaper business, and he asked about Zach. No, he actually didn't.
No, he's got a restraining order. So.
But
Yeah.
I think I've heard that about.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've heard that about Chip to some. I've heard about that, Chip. Like we went through the wars together, and now that we're through it, and I'm not covering him.
Right.
It's okay. At one point we did kind of like have like a come to Jesus kind of like hash it out, and I don't think I apologized. Maybe I did, and but I didn't apologize. I just said that I've become a better reporter covering you. And I learned maybe my faults and my strengths from that, especially after you left. And he's like, no, I enjoyed it. I loved sparring with you. And I was like, I never got that impression when you were trying to eviscerate me, especially a couple times off the podium when you things didn't go so well.
Well, that's all right. It means you're getting under his skin.
Yeah, it's my job.
That's your job, right?
Honestly, I don't think I got under his skin as much as Zach.
You think I got on the Chip skin?
Yeah. I think just your constant,
yes.
Yeah. Like I don't think I ask as many questions as you.
No, that especially
back in the day. Back in the day, yeah.
Well, because this is the thing, and I don't say this like us pumping our chests out, but there were fewer reporters who asked questions to Chip because I think people were afraid sometimes of Chip coming down on you. And like Nick's really nice, and Nick gives like 6-minute answers sometimes, so no one's afraid to ask Nick a question. It was a group of it was a concentrated group of people who asked Chip. You can always get questions off the Chip, and his answers would be in a snap. So
and you come prepared with like your list of 25.
Oh
questions.
yeah. There was never like an awkward pause during a Chip Kelly press conference.
No, and because he wouldn't allow it either.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd be gone.
Exactly.
So don't get me wrong. Chip was great to cover. He was so quotable, number one on the podium. But there was just always something interesting that he had going on, whether he's bringing in the sports science or the way he's practicing the up tempo. He's just so controversial. Everything, as we sensed at one point. My biggest regret, I'm not going to shift totally here, is like Zach and I had that Howie Chip divorce story down pat.
Giving away the secrets here, yeah.
We had that, and you're a little more conservative than me. I was ready. I was ready. Are we allowed to curse on this thing?
Yeah.
I was ready.
Zach curses all the time.
I was ready to write that fucker. But no, he was probably right too. We had a lot.
So
of
who ended up
sources.
breaking it?
Well, no, it ended up happening.
Oh, they just.
Right, like, we had
that there was a discord between the GM and the head coach. Yeah. What do you mean it didn't end up having?
No. Yeah, it like ended up happening before that type of story materialized.
They just announced the changes before.
Yeah, Howie on January 2nd.
Yeah, it was a press release.
Yeah. But when I asked Chip after the season, about Howie, because I knew I wanted to get it out of him, and that's when he called him good at the salary cap.
Yep. and he kept calling Tom Gamble football guy. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now, there was a nice moment during Nick Sirianni's press conference today, which I think we can hear later in the show, where Zach was talking to Nick about that first meeting with the Eagles, and Nick said, "Well, it's like your first date with your wife. It went pretty well." And Zach said, "Well, my first date did not go well." And you've told that story in the podcast before, but you were with him at the time. What do you remember about Zach meeting Emily while you guys were working together?
We had this great guest. We don't need to get into that.
Yeah, we want some
I was with you?
Well, no, I mean, we were working
together.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And honestly, I think I remember him telling me how badly the date went. And
well, no, we don't have to. We don't have to go through it.
I don't go through because you've told before.
Yeah.
But no, Zach was, kind of a ladies' man at that point too. And like I knew single Zach.
Yeah.
It was quite.
I appreciate the compliment. Yes.
It's funny. Oh, okay. All right. Fine. What do you think about this matchup? How are you leaning?
Oh, okay,
Super
we're
Bowl
shifting
week.
into football.
I
All
don't know.
right.
I mean, Zach is very clearly uncomfortable with the.
No, I think we have no.
Zach Quixote.
I mean, seriously, we have Jeff McLane, who's covered this team for 14 years, and who is like loaded with good stories, good institutional knowledge.
But
we don't need
our
to talk about
audience
my
is more
dating
interested
life.
in the fact that he has known you for 14 years.
Well,
We're close.
I mean, I became a better reporter working with Jeff, right? So a lot of it was me trying to learn different things from him. Like we were really good about sharing information, which I frankly miss because he has a lot of good information. But no, it was
Wolf taken astray.
Oh no! I don't mean it like that. I mean it's always better to find out something via text as opposed to on Inquirer.com, right? No, it was a good partnership. I have a great partnership here, and
Look, I didn't come on here. Honestly, the only reason why I came on this was because like I just wanted to like have something on The Athletic where I just get these glowing comments just straight down. That's the only reason and Zach's doing it for everyone. But like, you know, it's like Zach went from the Inquirer.com where everyone hated him until all of a sudden I read his comments on the story and it's like he's the
What's
second
funny about
coming.
that is there is one athletic commenter who, for whatever reason, will always just throw a shot at the Inquirer. And I don't know why. You're like, this is a great story that they would never write at the end. Like, why would you say that? They write all kinds of good
Sounds like a subscriber, though. That's all I care about is someone subscribing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but let me just chime in. I mean, like with Zach, I mean, like I'm not just saying it was all me. Like Zach was honestly, like I mentioned briefly, I didn't want to disparage anybody else, but like Zach was my best partner because like we complimented each other very much, especially like we just recalling before we came on here about coming here to Arizona. We knew who did what versus the other person's strengths and weaknesses. And yeah, we shared like the thing I missed most about working with Zach is that like I could bounce off of him all the time. And he would always give me the right answer, pretty much for the most part. It was very, very helpful to me.
It's very sweet.
It was very helpful to me. It's about me, obviously. I needed Zach to help me, but like it's just like I could tell him the deepest, darkest secrets of the Eagles that I knew, and I knew it would never ever be told. And there was other people that I've worked with, and all of a sudden I'd tell them something, and all of a sudden they're asking it at the press conference. I'm like, what the heck happened here?
Yeah,
it's in a vault for whenever I tell Zach it.
Yeah,
you know. So anyway, that's okay. We'll get over this. I mean, Zach already gets enough love. On
you're gonna need to rewatch this on YouTube and see the look in Zach's eyes as you say those things and how lovingly he's.
He already gets enough of the love.
I mean, do you want to talk about the match?
Yeah, sure.
Well, how do you feel about this? I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. It sort of feels like a thought experiment come to life of the best roster in football against the best quarterback in football, and what matters more. How are you sort of leaning as the week goes on here?
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked a little bit about this on the bus. Maybe we should have saved it a little bit, but
you can repeat it.
I think I can repeat some of it. So my concerns with the Eagles, I have concerns with the Chiefs certainly, but I'm going to focus on the Eagles because this is an Eagles podcast. Is that they haven't played a team of this caliber. They haven't played a quarterback of this caliber this year. And they haven't been tested enough in the postseason. That's not their fault. They were so good. They killed the Giants and they knocked out the quarterbacks in the 49ers. And I think they were eventually going to win that game anyway. So those would be my concerns. And I don't think I'm much as concerned about Nick and the coaching staff not being here and Andy having won a Super Bowl. We've seen Andy struggle in big spots before.
Sure.
I'm sure he can do it again. So those were like big picture. That's kind of my concern with the Eagles, and obviously with Hurts just hasn't been the same since the injury. So is it going to come to a point where he's got to win it with his arm, and you're questioning whether he's completely at full strength, and he's going up against the best arm in the NFL, not just the arm, everything else that he encompasses, Patrick Mahomes. So those would be my concerns. But then I look at like just the depth of this team, especially on both sides of the line. And it's such a cliche, but they're stronger in both areas, right? So that should be enough for them to win.
Theoretically,
but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. There are certain matchups that favor the Chiefs that have tilted even more so to Kansas City. That could turn flip the scales towards Kansas City. I don't know. Do you guys are big on possessions? How many possessions will favor who?
No.
Okay.
I think both teams are going to score, and it's just
Yeah,
it's going to come down to, can they make a big stop? Can they take advantage of when they get a chance to force a turnover?
It's kind of like the
does
last
the ball bounce their way.
It's kind of like the last Eagles Super Bowl. in that
Right.
regard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. That's like, you feel like you have less to say this episode. Like it's like you're nervous around.
No,
Jeff.
I have questions.
You can ask the question. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, what do we got?
I'm curious too. You know Andy well. You covered 4 years of Andy. I'm sure you still know him well. Do you think that the Super Bowl that he won faded, the Andy Eagles storyline, or do you think that's still relevant to Andy?
I don't give two way because I'm writing an Andy story at the end.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
I'm kidding.
We're not writing an Andy story, so don't worry about it.
No, because you want to. I think there's probably he wants to kill the Eagles, but he wants to kill whoever he's playing.
Yeah.
But he wants to maybe like if they've killed the Eagles, then he maybe stomp on them a few more times to, because I don't think there's bitterness. Everyone, both teams, both sides went on to win championships and stuff like that.
Yep.
I don't think it was all hunky dory. It certainly wasn't hunky dory at the end.
Hail to the Eagles, baby.
What's that?
Hail to the Eagles, baby.
He was in the cafeteria when Andy said, "Hail to the Eagles,
baby."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How awkward was that?
Very, very awkward. One of the more awkward experiences of my life, I'd say.
Well, I want to hear a little more about that. Have you talked about that here before?
I talked about it on the podcast yesterday. Yeah, I mean, it was so weird. They fired him, and they brought him, like Jeffrey brings him into the cafeteria. Everybody in the organization is there, and Andy's got to like say something, and he doesn't want to say anything. He just got fired. He holds up the ball, and like after all these years of service, they give him like a game ball. Like, here you go, Andy. And they just says, "Hail to the Eagles, baby," which even hail to the Eagles, baby. What does that mean? No one's ever said that before.
He's preparing for the Chiefs, right?
Yeah. Even media that retires from covering the Eagles gets
a game ball. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, even like the lowest of the low in terms of how the Eagles are concerned gets that football. So he must have wanted to swing that. I wonder, like, I should have asked him about it on the podium. Be like, what were your really feelings there? Did you were pissed that they made you do that?
My other very clear recollection of that week was Andy got hired very quickly by the Chiefs.
Yeah, I would probably say Clark Hunt on the tarmac when that thing was going. Yeah,
it was in several days. And the introductory press conference that Andy Reid had was, in my mind, worse than Nick Sirianni's introductory press conference because the angle that they had on they chose to shoot the press conference. Andy was sitting on a stage in a chair, legs spread open, and they had a shot that was just right in the middle, and it left nothing. Nothing to the imagination.
Can I tell you a couple stories?
Jeff was out there, by the way.
I was there.
Yeah, and you got snowed in. You got snowed in, right?
So let me tell you my stories about that. So, like, I'm trying to follow that story. We're trying to follow the Eagles story, and because you were flying out to Arizona.
I was here for the Fiesta Bowl,
right? You were flying to Arizona, and I was going to chase Andy.
Yep.
I rushed to the airport. I get on like the cheapest, craziest flight I've ever. I don't even know what airline it was to this day. I get there, I land. I text Ted Cruz, the PR guy for the Chiefs. I'm like, because I thought it was Friday. He's like, no, we're not doing the press conference till Monday. I'm like,
yeah, that's what it is.
Oh.
So it snows in Kansas City. I was in my hotel room the whole entire weekend, and I'm texting Andy constantly, please meet me so I can do the story before and I can get the hell out of here. And but meanwhile, I'm trying to report on the chip stuff, like the chip stuff. He went out there, and I got to nothing happened. He wasn't gonna.
Well, no, he backed out.
He backed out, right?
He was going back.
So I was I wrote that story too, and then the Andy thing happened. So I ended up going to a coffee shop, and I write a story about how, like, chasing Andy my entire career. Here he is, this dickhead. He he wouldn't even take the time to come meet me at the plaza.
Right.
He hates Philadelphia, whatever. And I kind of like, and I picture the one where I was like, we had a picture our photographer took one time of Andy walking at Lehigh to the press conference tent. And in the background, there's me leaping over a fence.
Oh, yes.
So I put it in the story, whatever. So I wrote the story. I get to the press conference the next morning, Monday morning. I go there. I end up getting like 20 minutes alone with Andy. It was unbelievable. He told me a couple things, but off the record. But anyway, I didn't really notice Andy's crotch because in front of me was Bob Lamont's rug.
Oh, and didn't you guys have a moment?
And I took a picture of it, and I said, Bob, and I put it on Twitter. So I regret it to this day. I deleted it, I think, at one point. I said, "There's Bob Lamont in his rug," or something like that.
I was cracking up.
The most powerful coach agent in the NFL, and I just totally destroyed any relationship I ever had with the guy. Yeah, so I do remember the crotch shot though.
Yeah, Zach, any thoughts on the crotch?
No thoughts on that. No,
I also remember from that we were that second week I was at the Shrine game, and before the chip stuff had broke. Who were they?
Gus Bradley.
Gus Bradley.
Yeah.
We did a like pre-recorded video from the beach just in case the Eagles were going to sign Gus Bradley.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, the Eagles have hired Gus Bradley as their head coach, just to have this in the can when it goes on. And I think it was Adam Kaplan happened to be outside and he heard that thing and he tweeted like, I guess everybody already knows the Eagles have hired Gus Bradley. Like, and we're like, Adam, that wasn't real. I had to delete it.
Or did he say, well, as I said last week?
I don't remember the exact tweet. Fran Duffy would have the full story.
Yeah, as I pointed out weeks beforehand, the Eagles were going to hire.
Let me ask you one serious question. I think you're like I think you are like a PhD in Howie Roseman studies. What do you think? What do you think happens next? The next stage of the roster and Howie's like power in the building and the sort of narrative around him. You wrote a good story this week about.
Can I link my
You
story,
wrote a good story
here?
this week.
Yeah.
Please read the story.
Car.com.
Yeah.
Car.com. Subscribe under my name, so I get the full credit for the subscription. Really in-depth, deep dive. You guys may have heard that term before, or a deep dig, or
a deep dive. Yeah,
that's good because I've heard. I didn't know you guys were allowed to write those anymore.
1,000-word limits. Well, on the live blog, you can go deep for 140 characters.
What does that mean? Oh, I see.
That's the length that they.
That wasn't a funny joke.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Howie, next stage. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, and I know Zach's probably working on it. He keeps asking these questions about building versus maintenance.
True.
And
it's tough. It's tough when everybody's in there like asking the questions.
I got a line in the story about it because I wanted to make sure Zach didn't have this alone. No, but it is, it's right. This is the third team that he's rebuilt. One went to the playoffs. The second one went to the Super Bowl and won it. And now the third one's gone to the Super Bowl. And you look at the team, obviously there's 20 free agents, 7 starters on defense, and Jalen Hurts is going to need a contract extension. And can Howie do that? Is he going to fall in love again with guys that he's drafted and he can't make difficult decisions to cut them? Is he going to all of a sudden try and bring back Deshaun Jackson and sign Michael Bennett, culture wrecker? Is he going to do crazy stuff like that again? I think he's learned from his mistakes, but again, it's just there's so many things that can go wrong when you're a GM, and there's so many things outside your control. Howie's done a phenomenal job. It's hard, really, honestly, to not give him the credit he deserves. How about
the head coach GM relationship? You think that stays
simpatico? Yeah, like surprisingly, and he talked about this as well. Like they complement each other, and they actually have kind of some similarities, which I never would have thought when they first hired Nick Sirianni.
How so?
I mean, Nick is very much gracious and gregarious and amiable, and Howie's not.
But you said they complement each other.
Because they have these other things in common.
Well, it was interesting how he said this, right? That
I'm talking about
that first summer, like he was sort of taken aback. Like Nick kept being like, "Hey, let's get together. Like, let's get the families together. Let's,
And he's like,
and how was like, because I think our impression at the time when they hired Nick Sirianni, right, was Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman have sort of found a patsy to some degree, right? That was sort of the impression from the outside looking in. Some guy that they can tell how to coach the team, and he'll follow the direction. And I think like Nick won him over, and they have this. And I think you're right; they have these things in common that have led to a pretty good. I think if they go 6-11 next year, the relationship gets strained. Obviously, right? That's what happens in anything.
I think it's more textured though, in that there are a few things there. First off, I think they're both like crazy competitive.
Yes.
Right. And they both wear a chip on their shoulder well. Right. And I think that's something that they have in common. And then the other thing is like Nick, from all indications I get, just wants to coach the team. Right. Like Nick doesn't want to be, you ask him sometimes about like some roster mechanical stuff and he's like, yeah, Howie, that's Howie's job. Right. So,
well, and when Howie does this good of a job building the roster, he has no need to want to like change how things are done, right? Like,
right.
If you're going to get me these guys, that's fine.
But like Nick's, and you had a real good Nick story today. One of Nick's superpowers, if you will, is his ability to get along with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a likable person, and I think that's important in the coach GM dynamic. There is like Nick's not trying to take Howie's job, right?
I also think that Howie, when they gave Nick the one guy that he could pick, he hit on it versus Doug, who totally screwed up Chase Daniel versus Zach Pascal. Right? I mean, Zach Pascal was clearly like Howie's like, okay, right, you can have that one, buddy.
Right, exactly, right.
And Zach's been a great
role
player.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel.
You know what's funny? Because Jeffrey Lurie last night spoke at Media Day, and he was like, one of the decisions that we made that I thought was really pivotal that we don't get enough credit for is I had a conversation with Howie. We had signed Chase Daniel to this deal, and we thought, if something happens, is he good enough to win us, a playoff game, win us a Super Bowl? Is he good enough to elevate his game for an extended period of time? And we both said no. And so we had to eat some money to go out and sign a backup quarterback who we thought did have that upside, who had that ability to elevate his game. And that was Nick Foles. And he won us a Super Bowl. It was just like, Jeffrey, he's got these little pivotal moments, and one of them is just throwing Chase Daniel over the edge.
And Doug Peterson.
I think there's context there too. And
he was right. I mean,
no, but this predates me. But there was a perception among some fans that the Eagles might have been, I don't want to use the word cheap, but like that they weren't, that they were very careful with contracts and things of that nature. And the Eagles, I know Jeffrey takes like pride in their cash spending, like on players.
It really makes a huge difference. I mean, that is true.
And there are owners in this league who would not say you can cut your backup quarterback who you just gave all this guaranteed money to sign another backup quarterback who's not going to, there are teams in this league who don't eat contracts like that and will keep a player on just for the sake of it.
No doubt.
That's one of the biggest falsehoods with the Eagles. And then because Joe Banner represented us, I thought in some ways there was always like an anti-Semitic undertone when people were calling Joe and like meanwhile and Jeffrey too, obviously. And it'd be like, no, everybody I talked to, like I came into the beat thinking something, not because of none of the beat reporters felt like that or the coverage felt like that, but like you just didn't know. I didn't know about the cap. I didn't know anything about the stuff. And then you talk to people around the league, they're like, no, Jeff pays assistants way more than anybody else. Jeff burns money like you would not believe. He's looking for any. You can't believe the amount of money that they waste, and some of it is actually frivolous. Like, I've heard so many. I haven't been able to report some of the stuff. I don't think people even really care. Maybe they do. And now all of a sudden they're going to be wondering what the heck it is. But like I've heard some ridiculous people that they've hired, like as consultants and this, that, or the other thing that have like, such ancillary roles to what you would think. And Jeff doesn't care. And to his credit, to some extent, now
definitely,
Don Smolenski's probably like, like, oh, we're only going to have one open practice now because of that.
Right. All right.
I have one last question too, and this kind of wraps it up. Here is
wow, did we go long? No.
Is for
longer than we said we were going to keep you.
How have you seen the organization evolve from the time you got on the beat 14 years ago to now?
Wow, that's a big picture question. The organization, how it's changed. Well, Jeffrey's still there in charge. I think Jeffrey's role is still pretty much the same, but I think he definitely has more involved because I think Andy held him at bay. He was always an involved, asking questions type of owner, but I think that he definitely has more of a say into things. Joe Banner's no longer there. Joe, certainly there was like I don't think to some degree he helped the perception of the team, fair or not, the way people looked at the Eagles. I don't think Howie's the greatest kind of like face of for the organization, but he's a pretty good one, and he's obviously done remarkable things. And now we're seeing this team on the brink of 2 Super Bowls within 5 years, and they didn't quite achieve that when I was on the beat. So like that, maybe is that what you're looking for? I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to think.
I was trying to use your institutional knowledge for the audience.
I think they become a better franchise. I think this is, the question obviously we had earlier is it sustainable? A lot of it's going to depend upon Howie, of course, but a lot of it's also going to depend upon Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts that quarterback can every year give you a chance at winning the championship? I don't really think we have the answer to that yet. I think he certainly has the ability to be that guy.
Yeah, I'm sort of like out of the predicting what Jalen Hurts is going to look like business at this point.
I got to say, I was a big Hurts guy.
Oh, please, I was a big Hurts guy. Get out of here. I said in the summer he'd made the leap, but I mean we can.
I liked him last year.
I liked him last year too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying you did. I didn't know that.
No, I'm not. We don't need to compete over who's
Zach. Zach was the one who was kind of.
Yeah, Zach gave him a D+ on draft night.
What'd you give him?
None of your business.
What'd you give him?
I give the process a D. I gave the process a D. No. Nothing against Jalen.
No, I've been sold on Jalen's personality.
Yeah,
like since they drafted him, right? And
you know what? The very first throw he ever made as an Eagle, beautiful pass down the right sideline to Quez Watkins, the first day of training camp practice.
Oh, I thought you meant the one in the Green Bay game when he hit Jalen.
Oh, that was a good one too. Yeah. I was watching on TV. I wasn't there.
You were, I wasn't there.
You were the only one.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I wasn't there either.
We should take a break. Jeff McLane, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
A minute with your ex. Read Jeff at the Inquirer. Follow him on Twitter. All that good stuff. We'll be back with the second half of Birds with Friends.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you feel well and you're at your best, you perform your best. And that could be at work, or whether I'm writing a story, or whether someone is playing a big game. But you may feel overwhelmed or like you're not showing up in the way that you want to. Sometimes working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself, because when you feel empowered, you're more prepared to take on everything life throws at you. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. It could be for anything that's happening in your life. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option because it's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. All you need to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/BWF today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/BWF. Now, our next partner is a pretty cool product. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get better gut health, more energy, or a stronger immune system in a really easy, natural way, you must check out Athletic Greens. I'm sure you'll all agree that most of us are not huge fans of having to take a bunch of pills or vitamins in the morning. But with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all those extra vitamin bottles and finally make some room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is an all-in-one solution that actually tastes good. You'll really enjoy getting your daily vitamins. My sister's boyfriend recommended it to me, and he raves about how it makes him feel. And I was wondering, what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. It supports better sleep quality and recovery. It supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant product changes and third-party testing. It costs you less than $3 a day. You are investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/birds. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/birds to take ownership over your health and pick up the daily nutritional insurance.
All right, back on Birds with Friends. Bo and Zach. Zach, why don't we start by throwing it to the moment of the press conference with Nick Sirianni today when you slayed the crowd as a fan of comedy. You got a big raucous applause.
What made you think it was going well?
In my job interview in Florida, that they asked me, that they wanted to keep talking to me, I guess. I don't know. That the interview went for about 8 hours, and they asked me to come back the next day. I guess I thought that was a good sign. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I don't know what your first date with your wife. Did you think that was going well? How did you think it was going? It did not go well. I don't know. You just have a feeling that it's going well. Okay, I guess mine did with my wife.
Big flex out of Nick. He had a better first date with his wife.
Yeah, no, I mean, my wife is amazing, but my first date was not as successful as my second first date, I guess you could say.
Where did you guys go on your first date? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. Do we have to give that out here?
What are they going to stalk you 7 years in the past?
We went to AKA bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on Walnut and 18th.
Yeah,
right?
a little Rittenhouse action.
But no,
we have to give that out. Like, what is that?
Yeah, it was probably more akin to Nick's opening press conference than
That's the line you were going to give him. Yeah.
But you know, we're married now, and Nick's in the Super Bowl
Way to
now,
go, buddy.
so it worked out great for both of us.
There you go.
For Nick and for me. Yeah.
We did the pod yesterday afternoon before media night. So we can talk about media night. We can talk about talking to the players today, sort of setting the scene. Anything big jump out to you? Anything you learned from either of those two events?
So I spent most of media night with Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Like I said, I was going
How
to
nice for
yesterday.
you.
Sorry about that, Kent. We have a great producer, Kent.
And
here.
Kent is rocking the BWF hoodie. I mean, the guy is a stud.
Yeah, Kent's awesome. Kent is early pandemic Birds with Friends episodes was Kent. So as I was saying,
I mean, famously, the Tony Pauline episode, I think, is really the highlight of the Kent era of Birds with Friends. But yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting hearing, you know, Jeffrey Lurie's perspective. There were a lot of Andy Reid questions, as you can imagine. What I'm real curious about with Jeffrey Lurie, and I'm gonna have a story later in the week on this, is the coach hiring process, because both these coaches in this game were hired by. Is everything okay audio wise? Okay, thank you. Was hired by Jeffrey Lurie. Both these coaches were hired by Jeffrey Lurie, I should say, and they were hired by Jeffrey Lurie when no one else was interested in them. So there had to be something that Jeffrey identified. And one thing that you know, I've spoken to Jeffrey about in the past is that the coach hiring process, when you think about, you know, if you're hiring an executive of a company, of a major company, which essentially a coach is, right? And you usually don't do it in 2 to 3 weeks, but there's such a time. There's such it's a confined period when you're hiring a head coach. So how do you know? What are the critical factors you were looking for? And interestingly, it was the only thing Jeffrey Lurie wouldn't answer. The only thing, because he doesn't want to give that away. He said there are like 7 or 8 things that they look for, and he doesn't want to give that away. But he's hired 5 coaches now. All have been in the playoffs within the first 2 years. And I'm curious I'm curious your opinion as we talk about this, whether it's a chicken or an egg thing, right? Is it the head coach who has success, or is there an organizational structure that the Eagles have where if they hire Ben McAdoo instead of Doug Peterson, or they hire Josh McDaniel instead of Nick Sirianni, are they still a success? Are they still having success because of some of these institutional factors?
I think yes. I think probably to varying degrees, and maybe things don't last as long. But yeah, I mean, I think from an organizational standpoint, it's not dissimilar from the things that Jeff was just talking about how much money Jeffrey is willing to spend on things on the margins that other teams aren't willing to spend on, and the things that he values from like an analytics standpoint. Yeah. I think those things do matter, and I think like if you took Nick Sirianni and put him in Arizona with the same roster, I don't think that he would have quite as much success. I think there are organizational advantages that Jeffrey Lurie provides. And
then there's a story I'm working on with Howie Roseman about like the
you got nothing but big hitters.
The return of Howie here.
You got Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, and Banana Pudding.
There's more stories than that too coming out.
How much time do you have, dude?
I wish I had more. Honestly, that's the problem right now. Is that there's not enough time. And I enjoy spending time with you and enjoy spending time with Sheil. And so, no. So in speaking to Howie, it's interesting that 5 years ago, Howie was getting. I was speaking to Howie at media night 5 years ago in St. Paul, Minnesota. It was in the Minnesota Wild Arena, if you recall. And Howie was answering these same types of questions about literally the way one was phrased about vindication. Do you feel vindicated? And it's interesting to hear that, because oftentimes when someone's vindicated, they don't become re-vindicated, right? So there's been this climb, this fall, this climb, and I think what's worth pointing out is if you spend enough time studying Howie and listening to Howie and talking to people about Howie, there are a few expressions that he uses often. And one thing that he says is he learned, and he said this in 2016 when he came back into power, is that he had to learn that your career trajectory, like your success, if you will, is not a straight line. There are going to be ups and downs onto it. And then the other thing he's said, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that when you think you've made it, you get kicked in the rear end, right? I think both of these are worthwhile concepts to explore when looking at the trajectory of Howie Roseman's career, and in particular his recent career.
All right. Well, we look forward to that story. We look forward to the Jeffrey Lurie story.
How was your media night?
I'm trying to toss a break because we have to get in a second break before the end of our recording window here, which is at 4:00.
Okay.
That's when the Mike Sando show begins. So if you don't mind, I'll finish that. We'll do that tease, and then we can talk about what else you want to talk about after.
You got it, man.
All right, second break. It occurred to me that Valentine's Day this year, 2 days or 3 days after the Super Bowl. So it could be a big week for Eagles fans, if you are catching my drift. Some people say Valentine's Day is the sexiest day of the year. But are you ready? Roman ready for sex? Because a strong sex life can deepen your feelings of intimacy with your partner and lead to increased happiness. Roman addresses a variety of sexual health needs for men. Roman offers genuine medication that helps achieve and maintain your sex goals. Treating low testosterone can help revive your sex drive. Roman has testosterone testing and treatment. So how does it work? First, complete an online visit detailing your symptoms and medical history. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will review your information and make a personalized treatment recommendation. Roman will ship your treatment in discreet packaging with free 2-day shipping if prescribed. And better yet, with Roman, everything is online. There are no waiting rooms, no hassle. Roman sends everything right to your door with free shipping and in discreet packaging. To get ready, Roman ready, for better sex this Valentine's Day, go to ro.co/athletic today to get 20% off your first order. Do it by February 8th for guaranteed shipping in time. That's ro.co/athletic. All right, back on Birds with Friends. Close this bad boy out. Zach, how was my media night? My media night was fine. The one person I wanted to talk to could not be found, but that's okay. Actually, no, that's not true. There were two people I wanted to talk to. One of them wouldn't talk. The other one could not be found, but we'll make do. Talked to some assistant coaches for some off-season story ideas. I don't know. You already know this.
Huge day for you today.
How so?
A1.
Yeah,
You're the hopes of the company's editorial direction today are on Bo Wolf's shoulders. You are the centerpiece of the Athletics website.
Well, that's
today.
not quite true because they didn't tag me in the tweet from the Athletics. So I am not the centerpiece. The story to some degree is what you're talking about, but
yes.
I didn't get the tag.
The story's not about you. The story's about, but it's your story. Yeah.
Right, but for what you're saying, it's not factually correct.
It's a great piece. Check it out. I think it really does a good job getting inside Nick Sirianni's what makes him successful. And you
were very helpful because there are when you're diving back on Nick Sirianni and you're thinking to yourself, when did he talk about this? Is there something I could find? And he calls Zach Berman. You call him over and you say, "Where's this?" And you say, "Oh, well, on June, he said something about this."
Yeah. I'm decent at that. I have a good memory. I do have one writing style question. Am I allowed to ask you, or are we real tight on time?
No,
You incorporate the readers in your writing style. You use a lot of us, and you know
sometimes.
What's the reason behind that, if I may ask?
I mean, it's not like a conscious thing. It's just like that's the way to tell that story. I felt like we all watched the Nick Sirianni press conference and had that reaction, right? I don't know. Do I do that? Do I do that often?
You do it more than I do. That's why I'm curious.
Okay.
I want to learn from you here. Yeah.
I don't. It's not a conscious thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's like, why do you walk the way that you do? I don't know.
I wish I could walk differently. You said last night I was strutting. I was just. I was simply.
You did. Last night you walked into media night and you were strutting as if this is the only place on earth that you wanted to be and that deserved you in this moment.
Well, it was the only place at that moment that I wanted to be. I mean, you be where your feet are, right? And that's where my feet were last night. But
how's the week going for you, just generally speaking? How's your hotel room? Any complaints? Anybody that you want to have a media feud with? What do we got?
No, it's been great here. I wish I could sleep. I need to learn from you how to sleep better.
You're gonna learn from Devontae Smith.
Yeah, you want to tell that story?
No, I'll tell it. That'll be later this week, hopefully.
All right, good sell. No, I'm not sleeping enough, but it's been great. It's so different covering a Super Bowl that the team you cover is in, compared to when you're just there, right?
It feels like the people, the out of town people. I mean, it's nice that they're here. Yeah. They've got work to do, but
it's like covering a bowl game.
Do they really have work to do?
Yeah, I remember and I know we're tight on
very
time.
low stakes.
The first bowl I ever covered was the Orange Bowl, and I'm going down there with like 30 story ideas, and I want to follow Brian Kelly around for a day, and I'm doing Tyrod Taylor, and I got it's Virginia.
Spend time with his team.
It was Virginia Tech for Cincinnati, and I realized everyone's down there for a vacation in Miami, right? Yeah. Right? They're like, yeah, press conferences are from 10 to 11, and then you're free the rest of the day. I'm like, free? What? Right? Yeah, give me something. I think I even pitched covering like Isaiah Thomas was the coach at Florida International. Can I go over there and do like a? Yeah. So I was. Yeah. So, anyways,
my shower. Tell me if you have this issue.
Only important stuff.
It doesn't close all the way, and so the bathroom just gets soaking wet when you're done with the shower. Does that not happen in yours?
No, but what happens is when you open the door to the shower, the floor gets wet then. But then once I'm in it, it's good.
Yours is like sealed.
Yeah, it's. I guess
you have a better door than me. Better shower door.
I haven't seen your shower, so I
is
don't
it
know.
A circular one that sort of comes around?
Semicircle. Yeah.
And you don't get a wet shower. You don't get a wet floor.
Oh, but they give you a towel to put on the floor.
Well, yeah, I put a towel on the floor too,
Okay.
but it's like
Yeah, no, I
it's a
haven't.
disaster in there.
I haven't had that problem. You have a view?
I have a window.
Yeah.
It's not a good view. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I also have I got to get this sorted out. I have they've got the 3 like bottles on the wall of the shower, and it's supposed to be shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, and I have shampoo, conditioner, and shampoo.
Gotcha.
So I've been washing my body with shampoo.
Gotcha. I packed my own for this trip, actually.
Which shampoo or body wash?
Both. Yeah. At CVS, I got the little mini ones for the trip.
What do you go with?
For this one, it was the Harry's one. That was at CVS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Harry. Nice. Who's your favorite Harry?
Carrie, I guess that's one that came to mind. But,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, we should close up quickly, but we haven't really, you and I, talked about how we're feeling about the game quite yet.
Oh, I thought that's the big
Just
Thursday
your
pod.
general
Yeah.
vibe at the moment. You track the progress
Yeah.
as the week goes on. How are you sort of feeling right now?
Yeah, I'll tell you how I'm feeling. Is that I think the Eagles are the better team. I think the Eagles are the better. Like Jeff said, the Eagles are better on both sides of the ball. They're better on the line of scrimmage. I feel like, but Kansas City has the better quarterback, and that's no slight to Jalen Hurts. That's Patrick Mahomes is that good, and the Eagles haven't seen a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. There really isn't a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. To bring back the conversation we had with ESP yesterday. So that's the concern. I think there's a reason why the Eagles are favored here. I like the Eagles winning this game, but I think I'd like the Eagles winning this game, but I'd be worried about Mahomes.
Okay. This is like a silly line to draw, but I sort of feel like either the Eagles are going to win this game handily and prove their superiority on a sort of a dominant basis, or Patrick Mahomes is going to win a very close game, and he'll get the ball last, down 4 or 6 points.
You got to pick a side here.
Not on Tuesday.
You just asked me.
You didn't answer the question either. You said that you feel they're the better team, but you got to be worried about Patrick Mahomes. What kind of definitive take was that?
I said I like the Eagles to win, but I'm worried about Mahomes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, we have until Friday to make our picks.
I actually got okay.
That's like we had an assignment from the Athletic, a league-wide thing. We had to go with our award picks and then our picks for the game. And it's too early. I didn't answer the award.
Yeah.
Or I did the awards, but I didn't answer the
You
game
had to.
picks.
It was required.
I didn't do it. I don't want to go on the record yet. I don't have a pick yet.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. I got a message Adam. I should do that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. Thank you to Kent for producing on site, Marissa for doing the work remotely. We'll be back tomorrow from Radio Crow. I think we have a good idea of what we're going to do for tomorrow's podcast, so that should be exciting. Zach, again, in charge of the booking, got us Jeff McLane today. He's going to get us Kerry Lake tomorrow. So that should be pretty good. And then we'll move on forward as we get
Make sure you check out Bo's story on the Athletic, and then also check out the piece on the banana pudding phenomenon inside the Eagles
You have
locker
been waiting 3 years to write that story.
I have.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And you killed it.
Thank you. I was proud of that one.
And you know what I would say about that story, how good it was?
What's that?
The proof is in the pudding.
Oh,
All right.
good kicker.
For Zach, Marissa, Kent, Jeff, and Elijah, we thank you for listening. We'll talk to you later. And as always, we love you.